Shura? More like boots. Fire Emblem Fates has been locked in a battle of this game good, no, this game bad, for years. But one thing its fans and naysayers seem to agree on is its potential. There were so many cool ideas in Fire Emblem Fates, and how many of those cool ideas were realized depends on who you ask, but I think most people agree the Corrin sexuals were the worst offenders of wasted potential. So many cool characters like Reina, Yukimura, Izana, all of them with really cool ideas, not being allowed to talk to anyone other than Corrin. And to me, the biggest tragedy of that is Shura. He's a character with a strong backstory. He has relations to multiple other characters in the game, and he plays a part in the backstory of the game. And all he can talk to is Corrin. So today, I want us all to gather around and lament who is perhaps Fates' biggest blunder. The sole survivor of the Koga, Shura. Well, since Fates is split into 3 different parts, Shura has 3 different introductions, with the only common link being that he's an enemy in all of them that Corrin has to pacify. In Birthright, Shura leads a gang of bandits in Nor's capital Windmire, who jump Corrin's army trying to nab some of their riches, as apparently he somehow doesn't realize that Corrin is leading an army. Apparently, large groups of people armed to the teeth just frequently stroll about Nor's capital. Actually, wait, on second thought, given Nor, that might actually be the case. Anyways, Shura is defeated, and he is spared by Corrin because he has information on a secret route to the capital's castle, and Shura agrees to tell them, at first only for his life and some money. But once Ryoma reveals himself as the Crown Prince of Hoshido, Shura's motives for helping Corrin change. Shura reveals that he was part of the Hoshidan tribe of Koga, a tribe of ninjas that was wiped out years ago by a rival clan called the Mokushu, who really just wanted their land. Shura, who was only a child at the time, was separated from the few surviving Kogan refugees, and he was denied entry back into Hoshido. Forced to retreat to Nor, he found himself with a choice many bandits find themselves in: steal or die, and Shura really wasn't too keen on the prospect of dying. So he ended up making a name for himself as a powerful outlaw in Nor's capital, finding poor souls like him who had nowhere to go, and spent his days filling his cups with the blood of others. But with Prince Ryoma in front of him, Shura is able to find himself going back to the straight and narrow, joining Corrin and Ryoma's side after the two of them welcome him in their army with open arms. Shura's backstory manages to work well on several levels. It's perhaps a bit of a basic backstory. I mean, orphaned from a destroyed clan, tribe, whatever, is about as generic as they come. But Shura's story helps the lore of Fateslandia, as it highlights a very important part of the world. Living in Nor fucking sucks. Shura is just one of many bandits that prowl the streets of Windmire, making it impossible for citizens to ever walk above ground. Think about it. The nation's capital can't be lived in safely. If the capital's that bad, imagine the rest of the country. Nor's terrible conditions play a big part in a lot of characters' backstories, so Shura helps play into that. Furthermore, the ninjas that wiped out Shura's clan are led by Kotaro, a minor villain who also kinda sorta killed Saizo and Kaze's dad, so Shura's backstory helps make an already detestable piece of shit even more detestable. So all in all, his backstory does help a few things. In Revelation, Shura appears during Corrin's journey to meet with the Rainbow Sage, appearing while Corrin is fighting the Sage's illusion bodyguards. Shura is making the trek for himself, as he seeks to gain the power of the Rainbow Sage, and with it, kill Kotaro and avenge the destruction of the Koga. But Corrin informs him that Kotaro is already dead. Corrin teamed up with Saizo to kill Kotaro a few chapters before this. Once he hears that he really has no reason to be there anymore, Shura decides to lend Corrin a hand. Seeing as how they killed the guy he wanted to kill, he figures he should repay the favor and help them out. It's not nearly as impactful as his Birthright introduction, but it does help the mythos of the Rainbow Sage by having someone else seek their power. It helps him feel like he's not just a dude made up to give Corrin some exposition and then die. I mean, he still does feel like that, but it is a step in the right direction. And in Conquest, it's his most infamous introduction. As in that game, he's a pirate who attacks Corrin's army because of all the bandit stuff I talked about in the Birthright introduction. Now, that's fine enough, but here Shura has an interesting choice attached to him. The player can choose to spare him after they defeat him, and in doing so, will have him join their army as usual. Huzzah! Fun times to be had by all. But the player can also choose to just cut his damn head off, and doing so causes Corrin to nab a pair of boots. The stat boosting kind, not just the shoes he's wearing, but obviously that makes him unrecruitable. This event has been the subject of many jokes about him, and I won't lie, I've made them myself over the years. And you know what? I'll be honest here. As memed to death as the choice is, I think it's a very solid decision coming from a design standpoint. The boots are hands down the best stat booster in the game, so an opportunity to get them is something the player really wants. That 2 move can really change an entire unit. But Shura is also a pretty good unit. His really good base stats help him contribute right away, and though he has poor growths, you don't need to invest anything in him to make him start working. Shura isn't so broken or so weak that choosing between him and the boots is a complete no-brainer. He's the perfect amount of good to make the choice interesting. It's one of those tough JRPG choices that make the genre so fun, like Final Fantasy VII's T4 Aerith, or Mass Effect's do I want to go through the galaxy as a Paragon or a Renegade, or do I want to donate to the FEM's Paint Patreon? Oh wait, that one's not a hard choice at all. You totally should do that. That's right, I have a Patreon, and for as little as $3 a month, you can get access to benefits on the channel, like getting shoutouts in videos, or making choices to decide future videos on the channel. Right now, the poll is between a gaggle of brothers, and it looks like Luthier's kinda just gonna take one, but if you want to throw money at Ford or Dart, you certainly can. My patrons include the likes of Atomic X160, Benz Again, Bernadetta is swell and Erica smells. Oh, you're getting all $7 worth out of that one, aren't you? Don Juan, Fire Emblem Lord, Follow Penta the North Star on Twitch, Great Riek, Green Brigand, Hell on Heelys, My Anus is Bleeding, Keith and Colin, Kieran Morin, Lightning Bolt, Me Do a Gamer, Memi, Mesomematomia, Michael Hamilton, Nevrix the Fallen Shield Guy, Nove Nember, oh I guess she forgot to change it after the months changed, Ranger Man Sam, Ryan Walter, Space1255, Steph D, Tato, Anti-Ginger, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Kazu Foxfire, Max, Sazegi, and Tellier Bop. Thank you all for your continued support, and let's get back to Boots. I mean Shura. Haha, I said the thing, and it was funny. The last note I want to bring up about his backstory is that long before the events of the game, Shura kidnapped Azura for the Hoshidan royal family. To make a long story short, Norse King Garen kidnapped Hoshido's royal child Corrin, and a Hoshido strategist named Yukimura hired Shura to kidnap Garen's stepdaughter Azura, hoping to do a hostage exchange to get Corrin back. However, Yukimura made a fatal miscalculation. Garen did not give a shit about Azura, so Shura just kidnapped an innocent girl for absolutely no reason. Now this fact could be interesting to explore. Maybe he feels guilty over it, maybe he feels as though he just had to do it to survive. Like, a support with Azura would be great to explore that. Oh, but we don't get that! Shura, despite being recruitable in all the routes and having direct ties to characters like Azura or Yukimura, only supports with Corrin. And his supports with Corrin are... okay? His female Corrin support has him try to be distant from people, feeling as though his past as a bandit makes him a detriment to Corrin's cause. His logic is that a well-known bandit like him would make Corrin look bad, as people would spread around that she was with the legendary bad bandit Shura. And then that word would spread around and tarnish her good name. And of course, this support ends with Shura realizing no one cares that he's responsible for the deaths of many and many innocents, and he learns to love again. The support is fine. Using Shura's infamy as a basis for a support is neat, and even though the direction it's going in is very predictable, it is still nice to see Corrin's kindness melt a cold heart. If this were just one of many supports, I actually think it'd be pretty fine. But as one of only 2 supports, it is a little bit too light on content for my liking. His supports with male Corrin are thankfully much more interesting, as in them, he's talking to Corrin about his dream. The dream to get enough money to rebuild Koga. It's a noble cause, and Shura gives very fond recollections of his home, with all kinds of flowery language about its land and its people. But in the B support, his attitude starts to change. While he was eager to rebuild Koga, he realized that building more homes and retaking the land back can't replace Koga's biggest loss, its people. I'm going to let Shura speak for himself on this one, as what he says about his home is best heard, not paraphrased. Suppose we do win this war. Even if we reclaim our territory, the people of Koga are no more. Perhaps what made Koga beautiful was not the lands, but the spirit of the people. And perhaps others, living in the same way, in the same homes, will be different. I could rebuild Koga 1,000 times as grand, and it would not change this. Perhaps I am simply a child at his mother's wake, wailing for her to return. On some level, I must have always known this. Perhaps I never became an outlaw for my dream. Perhaps it was to escape reality. Outlaws only have to think about how they are going to survive each day. That life has a way of pushing aside one's larger doubts. It makes them irrelevant. But now, they return to me, and they will not go back to sleep. It's a bit of dialogue that really fleshes out Shura's character. It contextualizes his backstory in a very sad but very understandable way. Running away from your problems is one of the most common things one does when faced with problems, and seeing Shura admit it and accept it makes him easy to relate to. And Corrin's response to his concerns is a good one, as he brings it to Shura's attention that the spirit of the people isn't gone, it lives on inside of Shura. And as long as Shura keeps working towards the restoration of his people and his home, the spirit of Koga will come back. And Shura's will is reinvigorated by Corrin's words, giving this look into his psyche a hopeful ending for him. And those 2 supports are all we get. I do really love his male Corrin support, and I might be a little too harsh on the female one just on the account that I wanted it to be what it wasn't. Or maybe he could talk with Yukimura about the kidnapping. Maybe he's grown to resent him for what he was paid to do. Maybe he could talk to other people from Nord that had suffered, like Niles, and maybe there could be some kind of kinship among thieves. Or maybe his backstory with Azure could be expanded upon more than the not at all that it is. I don't know, I just feel like there was a lot there that could work, and a grand total of none of it happens. Instead, what we get is decent. Shura is a decent character. I don't hate him, I do like him, but at the end of the day, I want to love him. In a way, he's kind of the Fates character. Much like the games themselves, he's full of very interesting ideas that are nowhere near as good as they could be. And so, he's nothing more than a glimpse at what could have been. And that brings us to the end of yet another Fire Emblem MS Paint character analysis video. The list continues to grow, and I think we'll be able to squeeze out one more by the time the year is over. As always, I'd like to thank the Green Brigand for his support, looking over the script and basically just laughing at all my typos, but thankfully you guys don't see the typos. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, ring the bell, join the Discord server too, we like to have a lot of fun there, and happy holidays. No ending joke this time, just happy holidays. Which I guess technically makes this a Christmas episode. Until next time.